All monsters have one thing in common. They're usually violent, terrifying creatures, but no more than 10 to 15 feet in length. However, some places are home to colossal monsters known as man-eaters. Unexplained creatures that even the U.S. Navy doesn't dare to face, and wild beasts whose existence challenges science. Each offers a challenge to the imagination, and today we've compiled their stories to show you the true dimensions of horror and danger. So stay tuned and watch out for what's out there, because you're about to meet the real colossal monsters. Number 3. Bloop. When it comes to massive monsters, the Navy doesn't typically play a starring role in almost any story, but this case is a big exception. Without these soldiers, we would have never discovered what many have identified as a shadowy creature lurking in the depths of the ocean. This story goes back to the past, specifically the Cold War, when Navy intelligence designed the top-secret SOSUS program. This sound surveillance system was intended to detect Soviet submarines or any threat that posed a danger to U.S. interest. The program was extraordinarily effective. The Soviet Union had very little chance of circumventing the system, and the U.S. hegemony was consolidated throughout the Pacific. Because of the success of SOSUS, the military continued to update it, and by 1997, they integrated a novel technology into the system which allowed them to analyze the presence of animals and sounds coming from the deep sea. When activated for the first time, the sensors detected something very strange in the South Pacific Ocean, west of the southern tip of South America. It was a mysterious anomaly, a strange slingshot that destabilized the radars, in which they dubbed Bloop. Months of research and tracking showed that the famous Bloop was one of the most enormous creatures ever recorded in our oceans. It was a beast the size of a submarine and shaped like a squid. Some suggested it might be the legendary and terrifying Kraken, while others were convinced it was a different creature, something no human eye had ever seen in its lifetime. The finding attracted the attention of a marine biologist named Phil Lobel, who began investigating on his own and managed to leak information to the press. This caused such a stir that the Navy had to issue a statement explaining that this wasn't the first time such a phenomenon had been recorded, but that it had occurred on at least 4 other occasions. Such statements sparked numerous theories. Were there 5 monsters hiding in the deep sea? Were these living beasts waiting for the moment to emerge to the surface? And, most disturbingly, when will any government ever have the ability to dive into the depths of the ocean to discover what's hidden there? These and so many other questions have been left up in the air with the passage of time. The oceans continue to be creepy places, and their secrets continue to elude us and challenge our imagination. Number 2. Mokele Mbembe. Africa has its own problems when it comes to monstrous creatures that dwell in the deep. It seems that the next beast on our list has tormented the natives of this continent for several centuries. In most accounts, this creature is referred to as Mokele Mbembe, which translates as "he who stops the flow of rivers." Such a name doesn't seem to be chosen lightly. An animal with such a capacity cannot be small like a beaver, but rather the opposite. The Mokele Mbembe is often described as a marine creature of grotesque size and amorphous dimensions that might resemble 1 or 2 elephants with long, muscular necks. Its behavior is violent in most cases, and there isn't a single person in the whole continent who isn't afraid of encountering this terrible atrocity of nature when looking at the sea. However, despite its fame, Western explorers have crossed the path of this beast without having any idea of its existence. One of the most emblematic cases occurred in 1980 when Dr. Roy Mackal had the opportunity to record in detail a wide variety of interviews with natives of the area. Each conversation allowed him to understand the secrets of this disturbing monster. They all claimed to have witnessed this creature, and numerous descriptions gave Mackal an idea that no one had raised before. It could possibly be a sauropod. Sauropods are huge reptiles that became extinct 65 million years ago. But for Dr. Roy Mackal, there was a possibility that some had eluded extermination and remained hidden in a corner of the ocean. His theory was indirectly supported by a hunter who was nearby. His name was Richard Greenwell, and he too was attracted by the Moliki Mbembe story. So he sprang into action and went to the Likala River to discover the creature's home. Throughout the area, there were huge footprints that suggested the existence of an animal 3 times the size of an elephant. Unfortunately, this hunter was unable to find anything else about the beast. Years later, in 1986, Royer Nugent, another local hunter, achieved the feat that no one had ever accomplished. He photographed the creature. The clear images of the animal were able to close the case definitively. But unfortunately, Royer Nugent was assailed by the entire local community, who ordered him to delete the images as they considered the Mokili Mbembe a sacred creature and important to local traditions. Although he opposed erasing the photos, the man lost his camera and the images disappeared forever. All the stories behind this animal are of a similar nature. The fascination with this beast is astounding and beyond any logic or reason. It seems that everyone wants it to remain a great mystery, and so far they have succeeded in that mission. Number 1. Megalania. Australia is the home of creepy beasts. This isn't a simple comment, but an objective fact. The country holds one of the largest natural ecosystems on the planet, and virtually any animal thrives on its land. However, sometimes this can be a double-edged sword, especially when nature brings to the world such terrifying creatures as the one that has been recorded in the country's subtropical rainforest. It's a gigantic lizard, a real man-eater up to 20 feet long, that has been eluding hunters for years but leaves fresh carcasses in the middle of local trails every month. The beast in question came to the attention of the Australian government's Department of Wildlife. Witnesses insisted that this creature was responsible for the disappearances and bloody murders, but there was no real proof of this. Still, amateur researchers seem to have come up with an interesting hypothesis. It raises the possibility that these huge lizards are actually a herd of Megalania prisca, a species of huge ferocious monitor lizards that roamed Australia 40,000 years ago. The foundations of this theory are based on numerous testimonies, records, and reports from hunters and local inhabitants who have described the creature with a chilling resemblance to the Megalania. Rex Gyroy, a veteran hunter, managed to make an expedition through the tropical zone and detected numerous samples of excrement and reptile teeth that, according to his criteria, belonged to the Megalania. The curious thing about his finding is that each one of his tests is out of sync with what anyone would expect from a conventional reptile. The size of the teeth is at least twice as large as most, and some analysis of the excrement allowed them to identify a diet based on human flesh, something that worried the authorities. Gyroy's case isn't an isolated one. Although he's the only one to have found anything close to proof, witnesses in the area have made chilling reports of terrifying sightings. Most describe the presence of a monstrous creature, reptiles between 20 and 30 feet, with bleeding jaws and grotesque teeth. Unfortunately, these beasts seem to have hidden themselves with great precision. No one has managed to catch them. Hunters haven't even managed to keep track of them, and everything seems to indicate that they are a legend. Or maybe not. You'd be surprised to know how many times legends end up becoming a chilling reality. Stories from Australia and Africa are full of scary cases of monstrous animals that everyone thought were unreal, but ended up becoming the worst nightmare of hundreds of hunters. If you'd like to know some of their stories, then you just have to join us through the following videos and discover for yourself what is hidden in the inhospitable corners of our planet where very few people dare to go.